Now let's talk about perception and how that can affect the positioning of your product, either with the publisher, publishee, or the customer. Too good to be true. Push the boundaries of believability without overstepping them. People don't really invest money for stuff that slightly moves the needle or barely makes the heartbeat faster. That's why we have to be very aggressive with the possibilities, because we're changing behavior here. And it takes a lot to change behavior. And so we want to push hard and we want to offer a lot of opportunity of growth, but not too much so that it's not believable, that a reasonable person in a reasonable situation would say, well, no, that's not me. So either if they can't relate to it or if it just seems too incredible. So I'll give you two stories on this. Story number one is when Tony Robbins used to sell his personal power tapes via infomercials. Most people did not believe that he owned a helicopter or that he lived in a gigantic castle and et cetera, but they still bought it anyway because the feeling was, well, what the heck? Let me just try it out and see what happens. I don't believe any of that stuff, but there's still enough there for me to potentially do it. So I would rather overdo it, overstep the boundaries of believability than understep them. So the second situation here that's really interesting is there's very often times where we don't show our own results if they're too big, but instead sell our customers' results. Or if we have good results, we break them down and present them in ways that don't seem too incredible. So my friend Russell Brunson, when we promote ClickFunnels, he has this hook that's, I don't know the exact number, but it's about, this single funnel makes me $17,979 a day or something like that. I don't know the exact number. But it's different than saying this funnel makes me whatever that is times 365, right? Because that would be like, this funnel makes me $8 million a year. Hard to believe. This funnel makes me $17,000 a day. Easier to digest. The number 17,000, not 8 million or whatever, 5 million, 3 million, 2 million. Here's another important thing when it comes to presenting proof or presenting a position. Can it be understood immediately? If it takes diagrams and flow charts and hibiscus and, UN interpreters, then it doesn't make no sense, no matter how powerful or how good it is. So if it's too complex, break it down to something digestible and immediately understandable and immediately communicatable. If it's not obvious, make it obvious. And if you can't, then I'm sorry, you can't use it. You can use it after the sale, by the way. So once somebody becomes your customer or once somebody decides to publish with you, they change their position. Now they don't have to be convinced anymore, and they're much more receptive and willing to put in some effort. Then you can take your time and state your case. But if you don't hook them in, you'll never get time to state your case. So your positions must be able to be communicated as quickly and as easy to understand as possible. And then this is the most important thing, because everybody makes this mistake: show, not just tell. You want to be able to, if possible, make your case at the glance. So it's one thing to read through several thousand testimonials. Say, I got some good testimonials of why I'm the man that you should be publishing. And then I read each one. One after the other. And I say, hold on, I got more. Hold on, I got more. Hold on, I got more, right? But if I say to somebody, listen, I got 7,000 testimonials right here. Take a look. Boom. I just showed it to them. So you can see how powerful I am. If you want to read those on your own, you can. But this just goes to show you how much we're in tune with the market related to blank. Now, even if they don't read a single one of those testimonials, they say, whoa, that's very powerful. I don't have 7,000 testimonials, but they do. I'd like to work with this person. And that's one example. The other example here is with YouTube, when I showed earlier the PDF, the playbook, that one specific thing. I said, would you like to do something that takes less than 5 minutes but has an impact of 5 out of 5 stars when it comes to getting more viewers, more subscribers, whatever, right? Boom. I didn't just say, like, hey, in the YouTube playbook somewhere there is a claim by YouTube himself that this is true. I just screenshot it and says, look, this is what YouTube says. Less than 5 minutes, impact 5 stars on getting more traffic. And I didn't say anything more. Didn't have to, because YouTube did all the talking for me. Now, we tell, usually, not just show, but we show first and then we tell to just supplement the showing. And that can help you tremendously when it comes to partners. So if you want to reach out to somebody to be published or to work an interview product or any type of deal, if you spend 5,000 words explaining to them when you could have spent 5 seconds showing them something, you screwed up. Show, not just tell. Exploitation. This is really funny when it comes to positioning. We want to exploit something currently going on in the market to take a better, more favorable position to us as a publisher or as a publishee. So the easiest way to do this is with the opposite approach. If they go big, go small. If they go low, go high. Stand out as different than the rest to be better than the rest. So there was a period of time where there was a race where televisions were both simultaneously becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. 40 inches wasn't enough. Then it went 50. Then it went 60. Then it went 70. Then it went 80. But at the same time, it also went smaller and smaller and smaller. It went on phones. First it went, iPads, and then, tablets, and then phones. And the phone got smaller and smaller and smaller, and thinner and thinner and thinner. But they're both, in a sense, televisions, right? Or they both can be used as televisions. It's, the portable MP3 player got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And now it's getting bigger and bigger than bigger because it's a freaking car these days, right? So being different than somebody else, you don't necessarily want to be different for different sake, but you ask yourself, hey, if everybody's going one way, does it make sense for me to go the other way? If everybody's going low price, go high price. If everybody's going high price, go low price. You will stick out. That's a fantastic position to take because, look, I got something better than somebody else. When we sell in the beauty market, in categories where, especially at the height of Dr. Oz's popularity, everybody would say, as recommended on Dr. Oz. He wouldn't recommend a specific product, but he'd recommend ingredients or a thing related to a product, like a vitamin C serum or whatever. We would take a different approach, the opposite of everybody else in the market. We would say, finally, Dr. Oz has figured out and discovered what we've known for years. We took an opposite approach. Like, we're better than Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz finally learned something that we knew all along. Now, oh my God, Dr. Oz said it. Now we're doing it. That's a position that you can take in all your marketing. It's good individually, working with publishers, publishees. It's good with customers. It's good with your own types of products. Challenge. This is usually where I start. What is an accepted truth in the market that you can challenge and even invalidate? Because then maybe you contact the publisher and say, listen, everybody thinks it's that way, but I've observed you, and you do it different than everybody. However, you've never sold that. May I inquire why? Because I might have an idea where you can sell it without doing almost any work, but making bank on it. If you're interested, let me know. By the way, you can use that close that I just gave to you off the top of my head, almost word for word. It's very interesting how we make deals happen like that, right? Very easy for you to understand and process that too, but here's the thing. It started with the challenge. I'll give you a very specific example of this. In copywriting, many, many years ago, around 2007, when I first started selling a copywriting product, the common convention and the common wisdom was that you build a swipe file based on covers of magazines such as Cosmo and whatever, because they had these really good teaser bullet points. And then you could model yours after that. And so I took the opposite approach. Why doing that was extremely stupid, and what to do instead, right? And everybody says, what? Then I followed it up very quickly after that saying, for my productivity product, the 80-20 rule sucks. That was my headline for that product. The position I took was, everybody talked about how fantastic and great and amazing and blah, blah, blah that the 80-20 rule was. And I said, no, it sucks. That's an interesting position, because I said the 80-20 rule sucks because just knowing it doesn't actually mean you'll do it. So when it comes to time management, what can you do that automatically takes the 80-20 rule and makes it pragmatic and applicable and beneficial in your life in 24 hours or less? That's a position. Now, if we can find somebody who personifies that position, that's very powerful to then contact to do a publisher-publishee deal. Now, lastly, and this is kind of sad, but new is better than better. Perception is reality in the marketplace. So all things being equal, if your thing can be different than what they're used to seeing, you win. Publishers don't want something similar to what they already have or what they could have. If they want to publish somebody, they want something that never will compete with anything that they might want to do themselves. So by being new, you can't compete because it's brand new. Compete with what? Nothing else exists like it. And being new doesn't mean being completely new. It means being slightly different. The other side of this is, what current event can you hook into or tap into as an example of why this opportunity is going to explode, get bigger, get better, magnify, and so on and so forth. Now, I'll give you a little insight. I do this for everything. I use Google News like a fiend. I don't actually care about the news items. I just do this before every email promotion on every new product, before every new webinar, before every new product is created, before every new presentation, before everything, basically. I'll take the topic at hand, and if it's, some topics don't lend themselves to this, but most of them do, I'll plug in different keywords into Google, and then I'll click on that news or that news menu item up there at the top. And if nothing else, it just gives me an idea of what is happening or about to happen in that market. So if nothing else, my positioning is I'm extremely knowledgeable of what's happening up into the minute. So by typing in Amazon, in about less than 10 minutes, I discovered all the following. Is this Amazon.com's Inc. next great competitive advantage? They're going after FedEx and UPS. That's good to know. I also discovered this. Consumer packaged good, everything from laundry detergents to snack bars and pet food, have long been a dark spot in the e-commerce world. That might be changing. Recent figures released found sales of these total, are growing at a rate beyond regular e-commerce. And most of those sales, by the way, are happening on Amazon. Here's another one. eBay is working on finding items more structurally for customers. What this means is that the company is starting to help shoppers narrow down their search for providing them with choices. So this is a way that they're competing with Amazon. Interesting, huh? Share money and stay on budget with Amazon Allowance. So Amazon Allowance is a new feature. Amazon is competing against PayPal and now becoming a legitimate competitor. So in less than 10 minutes, I found 5 different really interesting items that I can consider to help me with my positioning. So if I have a product related to Amazon, I say, now imagine if Amazon becomes its own fulfillment center. Do you want to wait till that happens and then figure out how to sell on Amazon? Because you're going to be run over if you don't. Or do you want to get on Amazon in advance? So that's part of the position. You could say, imagine a situation so powerful that customers actually have to budget their money because otherwise they'll spend too much on it. That's what's happening right now in Amazon. This is how we're going to use this Amazon Allowance feature to actually help our own customers spend more money with us as we sell on Amazon. That's a new hook. Nobody's teaching that. Amazon's PayPal competitor is growing. So should we consider teaching people how to use Amazon as an alternative for taking payments over PayPal? Or should we also consider using that as an example of why, if Amazon's going to take over or compete with PayPal, why it'd be foolish for us to have all our eggs in one basket? Maybe it makes sense that the eBay-Amazon connection, we can sell on both eBay and Amazon. Maybe this is how we take advantage of this situation. With consumer packaged goods, you can directly say something along the lines of maybe you should consider getting into these yourself. Or you could say, hey, if people are buying more Tide online, what else are they buying that's complementive to that? Now, what if you combined all of those 5 things together into one singular powerful position and hook, wrapped them all up as extra points and value related to what you could do if you published or were published by somebody? Are you getting how powerful this stuff is now? This is why we curve out and we present the proof of our position very, very powerfully and forcefully, first to the publisher or the publishee, and then next to the customer.